We're going to call to order at 6:34. We'll start with attendance. Conboy, Kugler, Rana, Hughes, Alechikon, Gopal, Bird, Porcello, Conrad, Valverde, and Chief Justice Briff is the only one here with us today. Ali, she's here somewhere. And then everyone else isn't confirmed yet. Right. Beatty, Caruso, Chow, Cognato, wow, Gangavelli, Julian, Kennedy, Kundu, Lanza, Lavoy, Lim, he's not in this anymore, sorry. Murray, Ing here. Lauren, how do you pronounce your last name?
Old J.
Old J? All right, Old J. She's here. Parker. Puglisi, I don't know how to say his name.
Here.
Sponzo. Sullivan. Wang. Did I not call anyone's name who should be on this attendance list? No, you are actually skipped over the ex officios. I did add you guys.
Why do you skip them?
I accidentally moved over and lost my place. But Villar, Lemoy, Bayraktar, and then we need to add Rashida to it. Johnny. All right, great. I don't have any minutes to approve because we have yet to receive them, so we're going to move on. By unanimous consent, I'm going to move the report of the president to now because of she's going to be appointing some people. Is there any dissenting opinion to that? No, this is for the minutes of like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't received them yet. For this semester? No. Yeah, we'll get there. So President Conboy.
Sorry, guys. So I'm doing this first because according to the Constitution for guard dogs, they have to be approved by Senate. And they just had their meeting, so I didn't want to keep them here for through all of the debate. So I'm going to start with nominating the guard dogs committee. Do you guys want to stand, everyone back, and I'll introduce you? Sorry, I just got to get their names and positions up. So first up is President Timothy Lim. VP for Marketing and PR is Lindsay Bissy. VP for Risk Management is Wei J. Math, right? Wei J. Math, sorry, apologize. VP for Finance, Grant Miner. VP for Logistics, Mark, is it Basil? VP for Membership is Sarah Randall. And I'd like to nominate these as members and now as executive board members for the Guard Dogs program.
Will the nominees please, oh, you're already standing. Are there any questions in regards to these nominations? Oh, right. Do the nominees accept their nominations? Are there any questions regarding the nominees? Any debate? No one want to talk about them? All right, all those in favor of nominating these group of people to the Guard Dogs Committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, one, you don't have one. Clearly passes.
Awesome, thank you. Guard dogs. So Thank you guys for coming. That's a new process now that'll be happening because we want guard dogs to really stay a part of USG, so they'll keep coming to Senate to keep that relationship up. Next thing, you guys got an email from me. We still have to get one more seat filled on judiciary, so I'm going to call for the nominations committee. And then after elections, I'll be sending out another letter for university Senate committee seats. Uber important, super important. I just went to my first executive committee meeting, and the stuff they talk about is just so relevant to campus and what we're doing in our mission statements. So the fact that we haven't been in some of these meetings is crazy to me. So I really want to make sure we fill every single student seat. I'll open it up to senators, then I'll open it up to the rest of USG, and then I'm going to open it up to even outside anyone we think is really interested in these. I just want to make sure, because I'm going to be requiring reports and because you guys are elected officials, that you really fill these seats first and foremost. Next up, I just got an email that the Connecticut Department of Transportation is opening up the later stores to Willimantic bus. The latest bus will now be leaving at 8:54 p.m. I can get you more information on that if you're interested. I just got that email. I think it was GSS, Graduate Student Senate, was really working on that, so I just wanted to spread the message in case anyone needs that transportation. Agenda access online, I just talked to UCTV, WHS, and Daily Campus, and it is up, but if anyone ever has trouble finding it, please let me know. I want to make sure that we're getting those up and that they're accessible to everyone. Also, October 14th, that's Senate. We're going to have a presentation come in, a member of Master Planning, so it's going to be a really nice Senate. They're going to update you on construction and anything new, so that we're kept in the loop. If I can give you guys anything ahead of time so you can prepare some questions, I'm going to try to do that. And that's all I got for you guys today.
Are there any questions for President Conboy? Senator Wang?
That was just minutes. So agendas. So all of our agendas are posted 24 hours in advance of each meeting. So I want to make sure people actually can find them.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, President Conboy. We'll now go back to the regularly scheduled programming and move into new business. An act concerning emergency funding for club softball. Can I have the senators come up, please?
All right, so I have an act concerning emergency funding for club softball, which we do have 3 of their members in the back of the room present to answer any questions if you guys may have them. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the quality of student initiatives through funding. Whereas club softball had originally applied for funding to play the University of St. Joe's, but they will now have to play University of Maine and will rescind any funding they would have received for that trip. Whereas due to an uncontrollable change in conference arrangement, they are being forced to drive to the University of Maine, will be penalized with both a $100 fine and loss of ability to compete in both regionals as well as the World Series. Whereas UConn Club Softball has been extremely successful, winning their conference title for the past 4 years, coming in second at regionals this past season, as well as competing in the World Series and coming in 12th in the nation. Whereas the aforementioned initiative bears clear merit to the student body. Therefore, be it resolved that the undergraduate student government shall give UConn Club Softball $242.72 for 3 hotel rooms at $99 a night with the Category D cuts applied. Let it be further resolved that the undergraduate student government shall give UConn Club Softball $862.50 for 4 cars to travel 642 miles, which was then capped at 500 miles after the Category D cuts.
All right, I'll give the motion to Caruso. Is there a second? Bird got it already. All right, we'll move into questions. Are there any questions in regards to an act concerning emergency funding for club softball? Any debate? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of an act concerning emergency funding for club softball, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. All right, we'll move into an act concerning emergency funding for the Indian Student Association and UC Thunderos. What's up?
again, everybody. Today, I will be introducing, along with two new senators, an act concerning emergency funding for the Indian Students Association and UC Thunder Ross. We also have representatives of both of these student organizations here today to answer any questions you may have about their event and their organizations.
All right, hold on. All right. Once again, thank you for bringing it up, but recusals, if you feel like you have a personal stake in the matter. Good job, guys. What's up? Oh.
So guys, this is new process for us, bear with us, but last year we didn't do this. If you've been to 2 or more meetings to a club, which would make you technically a voting member, you have to recuse yourself, but you still have your right to say your opinion as not a member of this body, but a member as a student body. To say, I'm a member of this club, this is my opinion, and then step out.
Okay. I'm a member of this club. My opinion is that we should get this funding to be able to.
Excuse me, Comptroller Rana, you're a little bit out of order. Hmm? All right, continue.
All right, should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be reading an act concerning emergency funding for the Indian Students Association and UC Thunder Ross. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with improving the quality of student initiatives through funding, whereas the Indian Students Association had originally planned the event Garba with fewer expected attendees, whereas the Indian Students Association is relocating the event to Rome Ballroom in order to accommodate a larger number of expected attendees, whereas UC Thunder Ross will be co-hosting the event Garba with the Indian Students Association, whereas this request is Category A and is thus not subject to any disbursement cuts.
Whereas the Indian Students Association is requesting $988.08 for XLR microphone cables, speaker cables, instrument microphones, cardioid microphones, small microphone stands, standing microphone stands, electrical tape, rhinestones, glue, and ribbons. Whereas UC Thunder Ross is requesting $2,870 for university catering and location reservation fees. Therefore, it be resolved that the undergraduate student government allocates $988.08 to the Indian Students Association. Therefore, be it finally resolved that the undergraduate student government allocates $2,870 to UC Thunder Ross.
All right. I'll give the motion to Chow. And is there a second? Technically, you can't.
I'll second.
Cognato. Are there any questions in regards to this piece of legislation?
Oh, I see that. We can correct that.
Where?
Sunday, Ross. Sunday, not Sunday.
All right. Are there any other questions? Well, questions. Seeing none, we'll move into debate. Is there any debate in regards to this piece of legislation?
Should I correct that right now?
Yeah. Is all good?
I think so, yeah.
All right. We will now move into a vote. All those in favor of an act concerning emergency funding for the Indian Students Association and UC Thunder Ross, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. All right, we'll now move into an, oh. What? It's right here.
Do you want to change his name?
I got it. We'll now move into an act concerning the fall 2015 budget of the undergraduate student government once Comptroller Rana comes back in. He's in the back. bathroom? All right. Well, Rachel, is Parth out there? All right. Here. All right. By unanimous consent, we will skip over this one and bring it up at the end. Unless Parth. Oh, never mind. What's up? Reason for what? It was just because Parth was in the bathroom. No, he's here now. You can do it. That's the wrong one.
An act concerning the fall 2015 budget of the undergraduate student government. Whereas USG is charged with passing a budget each semester under its constitution, therefore be it resolved the undergraduate student government adopts the updated proposed budget as presented by Comptroller Rana. Therefore be it further resolved the undergraduate student government has the ability to update or amend the budget at a later date if necessary.
Here, let me go get the breakdown.
I'm not going to go over the breakdown because you guys got it earlier and it really hurts to talk. So if you have questions, feel free. I don't know what the process is. I have nothing to say about it.
All right. No, you can talk about it. No, I mean, the only thing he has to go through is the act itself.
All right, so student services, a breakdown if you want, a quick one. One of the main initiatives that Chairperson Conrad is working on is getting automated water fountains presented in more public locations on our campus to be able to make the environment better. Committee dinners is included. The fountain promotion will be up to her committee how they decide to do it, and events and initiatives to involve their other actions for the year. Student development by Chairperson Valverde has $4,000 for their cultural center open house that's going to be occurring within the next couple weeks. Money towards their sexual harassment prevention initiatives. Senate sponsorship, $1,000 in regards to any acts that will require Senate to pass the budget first. Senate to approve their funds. Committee dinners for $500, and then miscellaneous in case they need it for anything else. External affairs, celebrate Mansfield, tabling and promoting as we do usually every year, usually done in EOS. Store Center. Textbook symposium that if you have more further questions, you can ask Chairperson Bird or Chairperson Gopal. Catering for their committees. Travel expenses, usually to and from the state capitol. Movie night expenses that they usually do out in the Great Lawn, which is that way. Funding board, $750K for their fall budgets. Another $10K-ish for appeals, and then another $40,000 towards legislative requests. And we've cut into that probably about $6,000, $7,000 as is. I'll keep you updated with the steady number at the beginning of each Senate, so you're kind of aware of that before we're going to have to possibly approve funds to reallocate from different locations for student groups if we have a large influx of legislative requests. Academic Affairs is going to be doing their end of the semester care packages, the textbook symposium that I went over earlier, and then miscellaneous / committee dinners. Programs by Chairperson Johnny includes the semesterly costs of New York Times, the new initiative for the Wall Street Journal, office renovations for the SOC, including office supplies. Reservable items for groups include items that groups can reserve and then return back to us over the course of the semester. And then $25K for worker salary. Guard dogs, new equipment, which might include radios, computers, cell phones, tablets. Office furniture to furnish where their new location will be, including tables, chairs, desks, And then operating expenses usually has been about 40,000 per semester for them to operate the entire semester, given the fact that guard dogs probably won't be in, if they do come into operation this year, it won't be until late October, so only half of a semester, if not even just 1.5 months, which is why that number is almost cut in half. USG General, including office requirements, things that are done within our office, not the SOC, so things that Dawn and Daria need to get ordered and stuff. Full-time staff for Dawn, Daria, and Nikki, miscellaneous and committee dinners. Sorry, that shouldn't say that's fine. We haven't sponsored it yet. Motion yet. Miscellaneous in regards to just maybe needing to reallocate funds from USG General to any other committee or any other standing body. Exec has another 20,000 for outreach items and opportunities, which may vary over the course of the semester. Committee dinners. Winter committee for 10,000 so that we can have some operating money over the course of December and early August. Miscellaneous in case we need more funds for anything. And then the end of semester banquet, 3,000, which is about less than half of what we spent last spring. So then overall, went over just about all of them. Senate, another 500 in case you guys approve funds for anything. 1,000 for community outreach to be able to hold their trainings. 500 if judiciary needs it for any expenses, and then 15K for area council that come to us over the course of the semester.
All right, is there a motion for an act? Thank you, George. Senator Wang. Is there a second? Conrad? Are there any questions in regards to this piece of legislation or breakdown? Senator Cognato.
Yeah, so just to say what you just alluded to, banquet was listed up here in the details by accident. It should have been at end of semester. That was my fault. That's why I just changed it. No, that's fine. I will yield to
All right, Senator Caruso. Excuse me?
So the question is in regards to what fountain promotions are, and I will yield to Chairperson Conrad.
Thank you, Chairperson Conrad. Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move. Oh, okay, great. So we'll move into a vote of an act concerning the. Oh, debate. My apologies. Senator Porcello? Chairperson Porcello. All right. Is there a second for this? Senator Caruso? Are there any questions in regards to this motion? Senator Byrd, Chairperson Byrd, sorry. You can ask it and then. Are there any other questions? Senator Cognado. Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, Senator Porcello needs to yield to you, but it's fine. I just want to do this.
We will run a approximately $7,000 budget deficit. Yeah. It was originally at 800.
Are there any other questions? Senator Lavoy. Thank you, Chairperson Conrad. Please stand, guys, and project.
So originally, the fall 2015 budget requests for Funding Board were at $750,000, bringing Funding Board's total budget to $800K. By changing that line item to $800,000, Funding Board's overall budget now becomes $850,000 and shows you our balance. The reason that I had put it down to $750,000 is because I truly don't believe that we will spend more than that. Historically, looking over the course of the past 3 years, our student groups usually tend to spend no more than 60 to 70% of what was budgeted overall to them. This is given to the fact that we've been telling many groups to over budget. We've made the process a lot more streamlined, a lot easier for them to do so. We have, held numerous disbursement workshops and everything, but overall it comes down to sometimes students still can't go to their events. They might not get into their events, plans change, and then they don't use those funds, or they've over budgeted. I can take an example of my group itself who requested about $6,000 and only spent $4,000. And that's 2,000 right there. That's almost 33% of what we had originally asked for that we're not using at all. So that's kind of my rationale. If you guys want to increase the numbers, by all means, it won't kill us, is how I would say it. But you just have to be aware of the fact that I don't expect us to exceed 750,000 in funds spent for student groups this fall semester. But that's my opinion. You guys are up to do what you want.
Are there any more questions? Senator Cognato?
So total minus revenue plus reserves, because our reserves are used in a manner to ensure that we have funds available for ourselves.
Yes. You gotta turn the mic on. The bottom of it, or top.
Okay, so the reserves are set. Why are there? I'm just confused. Why are the reserves in the revenue then? Why are they in expenses? So the reserve, that's our in expenses. So that's our reserve is $70,000. So we
Yes.
put it in our expenses. Okay. So okay, cool. So then that's subtracted from the balance then, and
Yeah,
that's what our
it's still a
effective
journal
balance
entry.
is.
That's why.
Okay, thank you, Parth.
Are there any more questions? Director Johnny?
If you calculated 60 to 70%, so let's highball and say 70% of the original requested budget was 1.3 million. So then 70% of that is 910. So do you believe that taking 60 to 70%, so I highballed and said 70, to 910 and then cutting that down to 750, do you believe that's cutting it really, really, really close?
I do not.
Are there any more questions? Chairperson Byrd.
Since this is the funding board chair's amendment, I'm going to ask you, do you believe it's cutting it too close?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of math and looked at how much I budgeted for the remaining three deadlines. So you might not know, I have half of a deadline left to do, and then I have three more after that. And I have currently budgeted about $400,000 for the last three deadlines. Currently, after this deadline I'm done reviewing, we'll be at $550,000 funding. So that means that would be giving us $200,000 for the last three deadlines, and I budgeted $400,000, which puts us at about 50%, which is lower than what Comptroller Rana says, normally the 60 to 70% range, which is why I think $800,000 gives us a little breathing. It still would be close. 800,000, in my opinion, is a little close, but we're dealing with tight budgets, so I think 800,000 is
Are there any more questions?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
I can
Comptroller
ask a
Rana.
question. Just real quick. What is it? Sorry. Chairperson Porcello, are you are you willing to have the funding board budget increased? Hold on. Are you willing to forsake the budgets of some of our other line items in hopes of ensuring that student groups get their funds for this semester?
I mean, I think that's a tough way to put it, but I think that we have, if I looked at your budget, there was like $20,000 of miscellaneous somewhere. There's a lot of other miscellaneous. I think when I saw the budget on Monday, it had $800,000 in funding board. I don't know what happened since then, but I think that it should go back to the $800,000 funding board.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't want to have any other programs or all programs in there, but I just, it would stink to have student groups not be able to get funding because we don't have a budget for them.
Senator Sponzo? Director Johnny?
This is a question for Chairperson Porcello. I think you have 5,000 for miscellaneous, right? Like 5,000, no. What, can you go back to the breakdown? I'm sorry, thank you. Oh, gotcha, never mind, I yield.
Are there any more questions? Senator Cagnata.
I really apologize if somebody's already asked this, but is it possible that we could still exceed the funding board cap if we move it up to 850,000? Yeah, so we're raising the budget to 800,000 or 850,000 so that you can like be able to fund student groups through the semester. Is that enough?
Most likely, yes. I think it would. And if not, then there would be measures we could take in that emergency.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we move into debate. Is there any debate in regards? Chairperson Byrd.
So if we can go back to the overall, that'd be great. So I see the concern of we don't want to budget with a deficit of $6,700. It's not generally, it's better to have a surplus rather than a deficit of $6,000. But I am not concerned whatsoever that running a $6,700 deficit is a problem because we never spend all the money we budget. So we're not going to run out of money totally, but there is a chance that funding board will run out of money. So I think we should keep it we should raise it to $800,000 like it was originally presented, because I'm not worried about a $6,700 deficit. It's not a problem. We've never spent all of the money we budgeted. So.
Thank you, Chairperson Burt. Well, the total for funding board will be going to 850, and then the amount allocated towards funding will be 800. The way that's just the total number for funding board, and then the breakdown brings it $800,000 for the funding request. Yes. It was highlighted in yellow. I don't know why it went back. Director Johnny? Oh, wait, no, sorry. Senator Sponzo's first.
I'm so sorry. Wow, I have a really bad cold right now. I will admit that I do not know that much about funding board and budgeting, but from the perspective of a senator in general, it does seem to me like the purpose of USG is to fund student groups. So, Parth, when you brought up, are we willing to take away from other line items to increase the chances that we will be able to fund student groups, I would say that in general, from my perspective, the answer to that should always be yes. So if we can take away from other things like miscellaneous, like USG banquets and USG dinners and things like that, it really seems to me like we should prioritize funding the students because this is their money, not to be used on, miscellaneous things and things that are going to us. It should be going to the students. That's my opinion. It very well could be, misinformed, but that's how I feel. So I would vote yes on the amendment. Yes.
Thank you, Senator Sponzo. Director Johnny?
Just be careful how you say USG's purpose is to fund student groups. USG has a greater purpose, but besides the point, just to play devil's advocate a little bit, we here, like in this room, understand that a $6,000, going into a $6,000 deficit is not a big deal because we never end up spending that much. But think about the headline that reads USG passes a budget that's in the $6,744.38 surplus, and how that seems to the student body. I'd just be wary, just devil's advocate.
Senator Cagnata?
Yeah, I just want to say, just in response to one of the previous senators' comments, nobody is saying that we wouldn't absolutely cut into the other line items in the budget to be able to fund student groups. Obviously, that would be the immediate decision that we would make. I'm just saying that shouldn't we make sure that we're budgeting correctly? And I think one of the other previous senators' comments that we don't spend all of our budget ever is also a good comment, but I just wanted to clarify the purpose of discussing this, I think, was to make a sound budget that we wouldn't, have a deficit on, but we don't really have a deficit on because we're not going to effectively spend that money. But yes, this was a good process, though. Just want to say that.
Thank you, Senator Cagno. Chairperson Conrad?
Also, just so everyone like feels a little bit more comfortable with a number that's, I guess, in the red, we haven't even had our revenue finalized for the semester yet. So the enrollment increased this semester with the freshmen, so we don't even know if we're gonna end up getting, we don't know how much money we're gonna get than the number that we have here for our revenue. So that number, our balance is most likely gonna go down. So just keep that in mind, like, take a deep breath, it's gonna be okay.
Chairperson Porcello.
I just kind of wanted to close up and just summarize why I put up this amendment. If we leave it the way it is, funding board will have to cut about 50% of our budgeted funds to stay within our budget. If we increase by 50,000, we can go up to about 62.5%, which is in that sweet spot of how we typically fund without doing anything different than we normally do. And throughout the semester, some groups will typically rescind some funds when they can't have events or something like that, which will let us go into 65, 70 and be safe in that area in those percentages. So I think 800,000 is a really good number that prioritizes student groups.
Thank you, Chairperson Porcello. Yes. Is it? It's like a nice auto scroll, you know? Get you to read everything. All right, thank you, Senator Cognato. I think that was helpful for everyone. No, I'm being serious. Is there any more debate in regards to this piece of legislation? Oh, sorry, the amendment. Thank you, Chairperson Byrd. All right, so once again, for this vote, we're doing it based only off of the amendment for the change of $800,000 to the budget requests and the overall $850,000 for funding board for the semester. Okay. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. So now we will move back into debate regards to the entire budget. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of approving an act concerning the fall 2015 budget of the undergraduate student government, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. All right, we will now move into an act concerning funding policy changes. Chairperson Porcello and Senator Lavoie. Okay, because I can read off of it if it's up here.
All right, guys, so over the next couple weeks, last week I went through the policies and made some changes that I think will be helpful, and hopefully we can continue to fix this, because some of these it'll really help student groups if we make these changes. So an act concerning funding policy changes. Whereas the ambiguity of the funding policies has led to varying interpretations from year to year, as both the comptroller and funding board chair are regularly changing. Whereas this variance in interpretation has led to confusion on behalf of student groups. Whereas one of the specific instances of confusion has revolved around the issue of student organizations receiving funding that are affiliated with class credits and organizations requesting funding to cover departmental expenses. Whereas providing quotes can often be a cumbersome process for groups, yet it remains a necessary part of the funding process. Whereas in some instances, the necessitation of quotes is more cumbersome than helpful, specifically in capital requests that are less than $100 each. Whereas funding board has lacked specific structure during the summer recess, as the voting rights of funding board committee members does not exist after the Senate has dissolved. Whereas a recess committee would be a sensible addition to funding board to approve requests over the summer recess. Whereas funding board has previously been operating on the presumption that we will not fund catering for general body meetings of student groups, even though this was not explicitly stated in the funding policies. Therefore, be it resolved that the funding policies be amended to include, subsection B under section 4, eligibility and restrictions, number 6, stating activities to earn or closely affiliated with the earning of course credit from any institution as well as any departmental expenses. Be it further resolved that under section 5, semesterly requests and allocations, subsection 5.1, requests, a bullet be added, number 5. 3 quotes will be required for all requisitions, excluding exemptions due to school policies, including catering and enterprise, judgments of the funding board chair, and any capital requests that are below $100. Be it further reserved, a summer recess committee be appointed at the final Senate of each year in a line under section 5, semesterly requests and allocations, subsection 5.3, allocation procedure, number 9. A summer recess committee shall be appointed consisting of 5 funding board members who shall be nominated by the incoming funding board chair. These 5 members will serve as the funding board over the summer and approve funding requests over the summer. That's redundant. And assist the funding board chair in the work of the chair over the summer. Wow.
You can change that before we pass it, by the way.
Whew. Be it further resolved under section 4, eligibility and restrictions, under number 6, bullet S, food will not be funded for general body meetings of student groups. If groups are having special events or an initial introductory event open to the entire student body, catering may be requested.
You can change all these things before we do the motion.
What is the last? Oh, I'm sorry. So like this, under a new. How do I phrase it? Just a new rule. I clearly wrote this poorly. A bullet be added. Would that be?
And then there's the 2 amendments up here. That one.
Okay. Sorry about this, guys.
All right. I'll give the motion to Lavoy. Is there a second in regards to this piece of legislation? Caruso. All right. Are there any questions in regards to enact concerning funding policy changes? Cognato.
Hi, sorry, could you just clarify that last be it resolved, the bullet, so that's going to be added, so what, if that's what it's going to be added to, or that's what it's going to be added to say, what does the current policy say?
It's not there. So the current policy, section 4, eligibility and restrictions, number 6, has a bunch of bullets. It goes A through all the way to whatever, the letter before S. And
R.
R. And that's all the I'm sorry. That's all the restrictions that you can't have. So for instance, A, that bullet is currently activities to earn course credit. So in this legislation, I would be amending bullet A, so it's activities to earn are closely affiliated with the earning of course credit.
Okay, so
I should add
nothing there is
amending
changing,
bullet.
just what the bullet letter is.
It's actually just adding a new bullet, if that makes sense.
Which is
Okay,
a
so
whole
do
new
groups
thing.
not is it currently a policy that we will not fund food for general body meetings of student groups unless they're
It's
having
not
it in order?
addressed at all in the funding policies.
So has that been something that we've been doing though for like a long
Yes.
time? Okay, okay.
Are there any other questions? Senator Cognato, do you have another one? All right, are there any more questions regarding this piece of legislation?
I'm going to make one friendly amendment right here, so it says amending bullet A.
Okay, so by unanimous consent, can we agree to, what are you fixing?
Amending bullet A.
What he's typing, I can't see.
Amending bullet A.
Amending bullet A. Anyone with any dissent towards that?
Thank you.
Seeing none, we'll move into debate. Are there any debate regards this piece of legislation? Senator Cognato.
Hey, I was going to ask this before, but it's probably more debatey, so I waited until now. Are we really all of a sudden now not going to fund food for student clubs? Like, I don't understand.
I'll yield to Chairperson Porcello.
thought we were saying that we weren't just, okay.
I do believe it
That
says
clarifies
general
it. I apologize
meetings.
if I misunderstood.
Is there any more debate in regards to this piece of legislation? Seeing none, we move into a vote. All those in favor of approving an act concerning funding policy changes, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. Yeah, morale officer killing it. We'll now move into a statement of position regarding the proposed Safe Campus Act and Fair Campus Act. Senator Cognado and Bayrektar.
Sorry, I have been all over the place.
This is yours.
Yes, that is mine.
Oh, we could do this.
Could we give it that real nice? All right, wait, you gotta wait till I start.
All right. A statement of position regarding the proposed Safe Campus and Fair Campus Act. Whereas the undergraduate student government is charged with protecting and defending the interests of undergraduate students, whereas passage of the recently proposed Safe Campus Act and Fair Campus Act in the House of Representatives and Workforce Committee would prohibit a college or university from taking any sort of punitive measure against accused student unless the person reporting the attack agrees to go to law enforcement, regardless of evidence. Whereas under Title IX, survivors have the right to choose whether to report instances of sexual assault to their school, law enforcement, or both. Whereas according to research funded by the Department of Justice, many students choose not to pursue formal action in response to incidents of sexual assault for personal reasons, and even when reported to law enforcement, only between 8% and 37% of sexual assault cases lead to prosecution, and just 3 to 18% of sexual assaults lead to conviction. I'm out of breath.
Whereas the aforementioned requirement in the bills limits the options available to survivors of sexual assault and may likely deter survivors from reporting incidents of sexual violence at all. Whereas under the proposed legislation, colleges would be able to replace a preponderance of the evidence standard with whatever standard of evidence they wish in campus proceedings, which would allow schools to set a much higher standard in these proceedings, potentially making it more difficult to punish offenders. Whereas recently proposed alternatives, such as the Hold Accountable and Lend Transparency Campus Sexual Violence Act, provide additional private rights of action for victims without requiring them to contact police or otherwise force their actions. Whereas the undergraduate student government spring 2015 vote to fully support affirmative consent policy in Connecticut shows a continuing commitment to the rights of and advocacy for survivors of sexual assault. Be it resolved, the undergraduate student government opposes the aforementioned proposals on the grounds that they would, without merit, weaken protection for and reduce the options available to survivors of sexual violence. Be it further resolved, the undergraduate student government opposes the Safe Campus Act and Fair Campus Act as long as they contain stipulations that negatively affect the primary goal of protecting survivors of sexual violence.
Is there a motion for this piece of legislation? Porcello, is there a second? Sponzo, sorry Bird, you put down your... Stephen, one day we'll get your name right.
Sorry.
Porcello.
I like the porcello. I apologize.
That was weird. It was a motion by Porcello and a second by Sponzo.
Hey, there you go.
Are you even Italian?
All right. Are there any questions in regards to this piece of legislation? Any debate? Cognato.
Okay, hi everybody. Again, this isn't really that debatey, but I wanted to read you guys the message I got from Kyle Harrington, who said I could read it to you guys. This was the original Facebook message I got Friday at 12:23 a.m. No. You'll see. Has it? It's good. Hey Bennett, hope you're well. I have a question/idea that's USG related. I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I'm wondering if USG could/would make a statement against the Safe Campus Act that's been proposed by the House Republicans. Here's a link to an article published today that explains the issue fairly thoroughly. Link. Ultimately, I think it's a very problematic bill that would make the already difficult task of reporting sexual violence on campus nearly impossible for many survivors. I was raped during my freshman year at UConn, and like many, found myself feeling too ashamed, afraid, alone, and overwhelmed by the idea of navigating authority/systems to report what had happened. The thought of recounting such intimate details of traumatic events to a figure of authority of the school is terrifying enough. Forcing law enforcement into this equation would do nothing to make the experience of reporting easier for victims or survivors. I'm not sure how much work a USG statement would take, but I really believe this bill is worth making a statement against. And I also think it would be very powerful coming from USG on behalf of the entire UConn student body. Thoughts? So let your bill be those thoughts.
Do you want to? Senator Puglisi?
Hi. So that's so wonderful that somebody reached out to you and like brought something so important to USG. And I know that sometimes in some of my classes the question has been brought up, well, why don't people always want to go to law enforcement? Like, let's get it more known. And I just want to let you guys know that it's a very emotionally traumatic process, as I think we all know, and that everybody heals kind of differently. Like some people need to go to law enforcement. Some people need to take action to help them heal. They need to see that justice so they can move on with their lives. Some people are not like that. Everyone is different, and I think the most important part is that we take care of our sexual assault survivors in whatever way they want to be taken care of. So that doesn't mean forcing them to go to the police. It doesn't mean forcing them to even go to the school. It's all about making sure that we set them on the right healing path. Okay.
Is there any others for debate? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote in regards to a statement of position regarding the proposed Safe Campus Act and Fair Campus Act. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? How many? 2? Any abstentions? Clearly passes. We'll now move into reports. Report of the Vice President Kugler.
Okay, so my big announcement is in regards to orientation, which is the biggest topic right now that Erica and I have been working on. So first I'd just like to start, I know that there's been discussion and some people have raised some concerns to me about the length of orientation, and there's certainly valid concerns, and I do appreciate that feedback. I'd also like to point out that the length was set based on feedback as well. So from last year, there was people who were concerned that we weren't doing enough training, enough orienting of new members, and so that's what we're trying to avoid. So I can tell you that I just hope that you'll trust that this won't be a waste of your time. It's not going to be a full day of sitting in a classroom or anything like that. We're going to start the day with a challenge course at 4 Arrows. We're going to have an afternoon with some sessions in it, and then more group bonding. The sexual harassment training that's taking place on the second day is so important. And then the lunch together where mentors will be paired with mentees and the guest speaker. These are all things that are meant to start our year off on the right foot. That's what we've been tasked with doing with this orientation. So I hope that if you haven't RSVP'd yet, that you will, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. The thing is, a few just logistical things. On Saturday, we'll be meeting in front of the Student Union out on Fairfield Way in front of the Student Union to catch the bus at 8:30 a.m. Sunday, it will be 10 a.m. at the alumni. It'll be taking place at the Alumni Center, so transportation won't be provided there because it's on campus. So we'll provide binders that will have paper in them, but just bring a writing utensil with you, and there'll be an email going out with more detailed information of what to bring. But the main thing right now is just if you haven't RSVP'd yet, please do so. I'm looking around this room. I'm not sure if anybody in this room hasn't RSVP'd. I think most everybody has, but if you're a committee chair, please remind your members, spread the word. You know, it's much easier for us the earlier people RSVP. So that's all I have. Questions?
Are there any questions for Vice President Kugler? Thank you, Vice President Kugler. Now we move on to the report of the speaker. Hi guys, I'm just going to piggyback off of what Adam said. Orientation is really important. It's a great way to get to know and get to build a relationship with the new people who are joining our organization after voting ends. And just a reminder, wear comfy clothing and sneakers and stuff, because the challenge course, you do some movement, not a lot, but you want to be comfortable. And we're also it's a pretty long day, so just for comfort reasons. And then second, voting is happening right now. So I saw a lot of you already posted on Facebook to urge people to vote, but those of you that haven't, it's vote.uconn.edu. Post, just tell people to vote. If you know someone that wants to run for a write-in, go ahead. Do something crazy. Yeah. Any questions for me? Yeah, you can't do that right now. That was... Senator Wang, can you,
When do the polls close?
I do believe at Thursday at 5. So I expect you all tonight when you get home to your dorms to see Facebook. I'm Facebook friends with all of you, so I'll know who did and didn't. And that's it for me. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of the comptroller. Comptroller Rana.
So I haven't met a lot of you because I wasn't here at the last Senate, but I'm Comptroller Rana, and welcome to USG. Welcome. You guys have a big responsibility in your hands, and I know you all would do a great job. I met with community outreach over the week, and I have a few other meetings coming up. Nothing that's really razzle-dazzle, so that's all I've got.
Any questions for Comptroller Rana? Seeing none, we will move into the report of academic affairs. Chairperson Gopal.
Hey everyone, just wanted to bring you up to speed on what we did in committee last week. We had a very productive meeting, higher turnout than I expected. We were able to go over what goals we set last year and what we could do to improve this year. There will not be a meeting this week, so no meeting tomorrow for anyone who wanted to come maybe. The next meeting is going to be next Thursday after orientation. This is just so any new members could potentially come, and we'll be doing goal setting next week, so that'll be good. What else have I been doing? I've been working on contacting certain administrators to see if we can expand the scope of academic affairs as a committee, and yeah, that's it.
Are there any questions for Chairperson Gopal? Seeing none, we'll move into the report of external affairs. Chairperson Byrd.
You're not Dan Byrd? Wow, sorry. All right, hello everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dan Byrd. I'm the chairperson of the External Affairs Committee. For those I don't know, I hope to get to know you soon. I want to get to know all of you on a personal level, just because I haven't done that yet. So what External Affairs is working on, the biggest thing we're doing right now is Celebrate Mansfield, which is on Sunday the 20th, which unfortunately overlaps with orientation. So I don't think any of you can go, which sucks. But so what we're doing we get a table where we get to tell the community what external affairs and what USG as a whole does for the community and try to improve our campus relations with them. So some of the things we're doing is we're getting a basketball game so like little kids can like shoot basketball because UConn's big basketball school. We're giving out UConn stickers just because kids love stickers. We're also redoing what External Affairs did last year, I believe, which was drawing why you like living in a college town, drawing or writing why you like living in a college town. We hope to like make that tradition every year. And then we'll put it on a big poster and we'll present it to Senate as to like why like 6 to 12-year-olds like living in stores. So that'll be pretty fun. We're also getting Jonathan probably the 14th, thanks to Steph Sponzo. Jonathan the 14th to come to the event for an hour so kids can take pictures with him. And at our next meeting, which is Friday from 2 to 3 in the SOC conference room, we'll be signing up volunteers, we'll be doing some final preparations, and I'm opening letters of intent for the leadership positions on the committee, which are Vice Chair for State Affairs, Vice Chair for Town Affairs, and National Liaison. So I'll be announcing more in the committee, so if you're interested, come to a committee meeting Friday 2 to 3. Any questions? Yes. There is a meeting this week. Friday, 2 to 3. Yep.
Are there other questions for Chairperson Berg? All right, thank you. We'll now move into the report of Funding Board. Chairperson Porcello.
Hey guys, sorry. So we've been pretty busy as funding board lately. We just finished up the group review of our September 4th deadlines, like I told you about earlier in debate. Student groups for those deadlines will be getting emailed within the week or so. We also have been working on the legislative funding that you guys all passed today, so that was pretty great. And I had a meeting with one of our committee members and Mike Oatley in UITS to go over the new funding system, which we're really looking to implement for the next budget, which will be held late October, early November. We got a test run of that, and it's going to be a lot better to use. It's got a lot of cool functions for student groups and for funding board, so it's really going to help everyone. Other thing I'm going to add, I don't know if this is inappropriate or not, but in USG I have a role as being a member of the SRF committee with Rachel, and I have never really reached out too much to you all on that. But if you ever have any questions about the new gym facility, student recreational facility, that's what SRF means, in case you didn't know. I guess I guess she's coming, but also if you do have any questions, I'm here. I can, or Rachel, we'd love to talk about it with you, and that's that. So thank you guys.
Are there any questions for Chairperson Porcello? Seeing none, we'll move into report of student development. Chairperson Valverde. I thought it was really interesting that your last name was like Green, and then I realized I was missing 3 letters.
Yeah, exactly. It's Val Green. Oh yeah, come back.
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, we can do that really quick. Unanimous consent, can we move back to Stephen's report?
I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted to nominate Vikram Mamek to the funding board. He's not here, so I'll be nominating.
Does the nominee accept his position?
I'll nominate on his behalf, or accept on his behalf, sorry.
Are there any questions in regards to this nomination? Any debate? All those in favor of nominating Vikram Mamek to funding board, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Approved. Get out of here, you rascal.
That's his last name.
I like this. I really like this.
Okay, that's fine. Hi, everybody. I'm Irma. I'm the chairperson of student development. We've actually had our 3rd meeting already, so I'm really happy about that. My committee keeps growing, so it's super exciting. We meet Tuesdays at 5 o'clock in the SOC, and we actually have been talking about past projects from the year before that we want to continue this year. So one of those things is Founders Day. So last year we started working on that. Unfortunately, like the permits didn't work or go through or something like that with the fireworks. Oh, they did go through. We didn't have enough time for it. So this year we're actually starting it this semester so that we ensure that we have enough time to complete that project. So Founders Day is kind of to celebrate the founding of our university and bringing in old traditions from UConn and new traditions and kind of like showing the difference between now and then. Another thing we're working on is, what they were going to work on is the sexual assault flowcharts. So last year there just wasn't enough time to like kind of spread that out everywhere. And Danielle Bergman, she graduated, she worked really hard on that. So That's kind of what we're looking forward to. And then also the Seller on Path project. So right now, there's going to be like a sponsorship for trees, so you could have those down the path. But and bushes and a bunch of other stuff. But we realized that the trees are very expensive, so that's why we're looking into other ideas, because we know that a student isn't going to throw down $1,000 for a tree. So we're going to reach out to alumni, find different ways to have students be involved in that. So we were thinking like flower beds, tree lights, stuff like that, because we really want the student body to actually be involved in that. And lastly, the Cultural Center open house. So that was something we did last spring, and it's happening again next Wednesday. So my committee, everybody has to be there, but I'm really pushing for a lot of members in USG to attend that event, because we really need to make sure that we keep improving the relationships we have with the centers. And if you have to ask Colin, though, for permission, because it is during caucus, but you can be there from 5 to 6:30 before caucus. But you need to just make sure that you let Colin know if you can miss, because if you're a new senator, I'm not sure exactly what we're doing yet during caucus. But if you're a part of my committee and you already have been a senator, like, you're good to go. And the last thing is that we're looking for a last project to work on this semester. And we decided the best way to do that is to talk to the student body about it. So we're actually coming up right now with 4 different ideas, and we're going to present that to the student body. We're not sure how yet, but we're thinking if Bark for Beer is coming up soon, we'll do it then, or we're thinking maybe like a poll or something like that we can send out, put on social media and all that good stuff. Because we think it's really important that the students know what we're working on and that they push for what they want to see be done. So that's all I have, and if you want to join my committee, Tuesday is 5 to 6.
Are there any questions for Chairperson Valverde? Seeing none, we'll now move into the report of Student Services. Chairperson Conrad.
Okay, hi everyone. In case I haven't introduced myself to you guys yet, I'm Eliza. I'm a junior Student Services Chairperson. So we had our first meeting last Thursday, and it went really well. We had 2 members of the E-Coalition show up, which was great, and we're really excited to work with them. And we're currently working on 4 initiatives and maybe adding 2 more for the semester, which is awesome. George Wang has taken point on getting personal AC units put in residence halls for students. And he is a point person to talk to about that project. We're still working on it, though. And we're researching health insurance policies for undergrad students and graduate students, because apparently there are some discrepancies between last year and this year. So we're doing a lot of research right now on that. And because the Safe Nurse bill passed in the state, which is awesome, thanks to External Affairs, we're going to start working with health services on making sure students understand exactly what that means for them, and that they can request that, and that they know they can go to health services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in an emergency situation. And we're also working with E-Coalition, like I talked about earlier, on the sustainability and water conservation stuff on campus. My meeting time has changed since last Senate when I talked about it, though, because a lot of my veteran committee members had commitments during the Thursday night time. So it's going to be on Fridays at 1 p.m. in the SOC instead. And I am also looking for a vice chair. So I'm going to formally put that out after elections are finished, but I just wanted to give everyone here a heads up too. So I will have a meeting Friday. Please stop by. I basically live in the office if you have any questions or want to be on my listserv. So, yeah.
Are there any questions for Chairperson Conrad? Seeing none, we will now move into announcements, which I have one because Irma brought one. Anyone else for announcements? Johnny? All right. One thing that I forgot to mention was caucus next week. Thank you. Irma's gone now. But caucus next week, I'm planning on having a Robert's Rules Senate, sort of fake Senate, like a mock Senate. And I am going to require everyone who is new into their first year to be present. If you are a returning senator and you feel like you have a good grasp on Robert's Rules and don't need to go through it again, then feel free to go to the Cultural Center open house with Irma. You will need to go to one or the other because it is still a caucus for Wednesday. So I will have Irma, I'll be giving Irma an attendance sheet so she can mark down who goes to hers, and then everyone else will be with me I'm pretty sure we'll be in the SOC, but I'll send out an email on Monday about where we're doing it. It's just during orientation we decided to do it on a different day. Director Johnny.
Okay. One of the few things that I really like about USG is that we're so passionate and we're able to, vocalize ourselves in a safe space. And last year we let that passion get in the way of our progress. So, and we've had no problem with that so far, even though it's only the second Senate, which makes me really excited because we've worked so hard to change the environment and culture for all of us. So let's just remember that we're all here for the same reasons and to respect everyone's freedom of speech. And my other thing is that the cubbies in the side room are really useful, and if it doesn't fit in the top cubby, you can always put it in the bottom cubby because the office, it looks so good, so let's just keep it clean. Okay, thank you.
Senator Ali. I learned how to use that word last week.
Hi guys. My cultural center, the ACC, is hosting their welcome back dinner tomorrow. It's at 6:30 in the ballroom, and it's also going to be a vigil for the 9 victims of the terrorist attack on the Charleston Church in June. So it'd be really great if you guys could come out. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what ballroom? Rome ballroom or this
In this
ballroom?
ballroom.
This ballroom.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. You said that was tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow at 6:30.
Director Johnny.
Both.
Are there other questions for Senator Ali? All right, good. Wow, this is really surprising. Any more announcements? Seeing none, we are now adjourned at 7:51. Wow, good job, guys.